Good morning, children. Krishna ma'am here. Let's continue with the chapter We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together. Yesterday we were in the first part of the chapter. Now today we will continue with the second part. Now what we learned in the first part? They went till Cape Town, and from Cape Town they traveled 3,500 kilometers towards the east, and they celebrated Christmas. Even though the weather was not good and promising, but still they could manage with the weather. Now things were getting worse day by day, and on the 2nd of January the disaster started. Okay, they faced the first calamity on the 2nd of January. Now let's see what happened that day. On 2nd of January, since the morning there, the waves were very gigantic. Now what is gigantic? Gigantic means huge or enormous. It is derived from the word giant. Giant means, you know the meaning of giant. From that we got the word gigantic. So the waves were very gigantic, very huge in size, and it was very alarming. And all of them, they were sailing with a very small jib, because the boat was also not very big, and the jib. Now why do we use the jib here? In any boat, apart from the main sail, they have a jib also, which will protect them from the storm. So they were traveling with a small jib. Still they were traveling with 8 knots per hour. Usually for a small boat like this, the maximum speed should be 5 to 6 knots, but still they were traveling in 8 knots. So now what is knot? Knot is a nautical measure for ship. Like while you travel in the car, while you travel on the road, we use kilometers per hour. So in the same way, in the ship or plane, they use the knot. That is, 1 knot is equal to about 1.8 kilometers per hour. So now, we were traveling the small jib, and when the enormous wave, when the gigantic wave started, what did they do to protect themselves? First thing they did, that they slowed down the boat. They slowed down the boat by dropping the jib, and they took trial on the life raft drift. They wore their oilskins. Now what is oilskin? Oilskin is kind of dress, kind of jacket which will protect them from the water. So like it is waterproof. And they wore their life jackets also, and they waited. Waited means they waited for the worst to come. Means they were prepared. They were prepared for the storm which was about to come. Now in the next para, first indication of impending disaster. Now what is impending? Impending means approaching, which is about to come, which is due to come. So the first indication of the impending disaster knocked at 6 p.m. So what happened at 6 p.m.? At 6 p.m. there was an ominous silence. Ominous silence is dreadful silence before a mishap. Many a times you must have seen a strange kind of silence, and inside yourself you will feel that something wrong will happen. So in the same manner, there was an ominous silence, and they had an indication that something is going to happen. And what happened? There was a great roar, and with the thunder, there was a dark cloud over the head, over the boat. Boat was sailing on the sea, and they saw a dark cloud overheading them. So what was the dark cloud? Later they came to know that it was not a dark cloud, but it was a very giant size wave. The wave just overpowered the ship. It overpowered the ship, and along with that, the ship went vertical, because the waves came like this, and it's a bit, the ship is going like this, and then the wave overturned, covered them. The large wave covered them. The ship went vertical, and the narrator, Gordon Cook, he was thrown off the ship. First of all, his head hit with the wheel, and he was thrown into the sea, and he almost drowned. Okay, the roar increased to thunder as the stern moved up to the face of the wave. Now, what is stern? This is the stern. Stern is the back side of the ship. When the thunder increased, when the waves started getting huge, the stern part of the ship went up. Means it went upside down like this. And he was inside the sea. He was inside the sea. Then what did he write? I accepted my approaching death and I was losing consciousness. He almost lost his consciousness because he was going deep in the water. His sense was going away. I felt quite peaceful. Why did he feel quite peaceful? Because there was no option for him. And he accepted the approaching death because he did his best. And there was nothing he could do now. But unexpectedly, his head popped out of water. Why unexpectedly? Children, we are helpless. Human beings are helpless in front of the fury of the nature. Nature can twist us in any way. So this is again nature. The waves changed, and what did he see? That the wave walker was coming near, and the wave walker, which was, it was capsized. Capsized means it was overturned. Now the wave walker, which was almost capsized, it came back to normal again, and his life jacket, his lifeline jerked taut. Now what is lifeline? He was wearing the life jacket. I told you that when the heavy wind started, when they have the gigantic wave, they all wore the oilskin life jackets and they completed their trial for the life raft drill. So the life jacket which he was wearing, with the jerk of the wave, it got taut, means it tightened. And when it tightened, somehow it was a boom for him, and he got hold of the his wave walker. He got hold of the ship, and finally he was thrown inside that. He was thrown inside that. Did they write there? I grabbed the guardrails and sailed through the air into the wave walker's main boom. So from the wave, when the wave was strong, with the wave, he was thrown inside the boom, means he was thrown inside it. He got hold of the boom, that is a big rod here. He got hold of the boom and he came inside his boat. Now subsequent waves tossed me around the deck like a rag doll. There was waves again. So while there was water everywhere, the waves would come. Waves were very, very heavy. So with the subsequent, means with the coming waves, while he was thrown inside the boat, even inside the boat, he was like a rag doll. Now what is a rag doll? Rag doll is all of you must have played, must have seen, must have used and decorated a rag doll in your house. It's sort of doll made from waste clothes, a very light doll. So here this phrase is used as simile to illustrate how powerless the narrator was against the magnitude of the waves. The waves were very heavy and he was like a rag doll, and he was just tumbling inside the boat in a helpless manner. He was not able to do anything. He was not able to help himself. Even though he was inside the boat, he was not able to manage. But somehow I found the wheel, lined up stern for the next wave and hung on. But he didn't give up because he was brave. While they were on the voyage, they have to be brave, and they practiced this. Initially, you learn that they practice to tackle in the storm, to tackle all kind of seas for almost 16 years. So finally, he got hold of the wheel and he lined up the storm for the next wave. Means he was ready. He was ready to control. He was ready to control his wave walker and push it through the waves, push it through the storm. And again, now let's turn to the next line. What is this? Water, water, water everywhere. The line reminds me something from your previous class, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But this is very beautiful line. Water, water, and water everywhere. That shows the extent of the water everywhere scattered. Means he was inside the water, but he was helpless. He was helpless. He could not see anything except the water. So now I could feel the ship had water below, but I dared not abandon the wheel to investigate. He knew, while he got hold of the wheel, he knew that below the deck, the water was filling inside the boat. And the water was flooding inside the boat, but he was not able to go and investigate. He could not leave the wheel, because once he left the wheel, again, there was nobody to take control of the ship, and again it will go in storm. Let's turn the page. Suddenly, okay, so that's very nice. Suddenly, what happened? Suddenly, the front hatch was thrown open and Mary appeared. Okay, so that's good for him, because while he was just thinking how to go and investigate and see and save here, suddenly the hatch. Now, what is hatch? Hatch is the door of the ship. Now, suddenly the hatch opened and Mary came inside. And what did she say? "We're sinking," she screamed. "The decks are smashed. We're full of water." She was telling her husband that all of us are sinking now. She had no idea. She had no idea that her husband, that Gordon Cook, he was thrown inside the water. He was thrown into the sea. He had almost drowned. He was near to death, and he has come back to deck again. And he is back on the wheel. She had no idea about that, but she told that the decks are smashed and we are full of water. So now what did he say? He told Mary, "Take the wheel." "Take the wheel," I shouted as I scrambled for the hatch. Scramble, I don't think I've written it here. Scramble. Scramble means to move hurriedly. She told Mary that take hold of the wheel, and hurriedly, in a speed, he moved to the deck. He moved to the deck, and while he went there, he saw Screamer, Larry, and Herb were pumping in a frantic manner, like a madman. Frantic manner means they were just pumping the water out of the boat like hell. Okay, they were using all their energy to pump the water out, and all the things, they were broken. All the broken timbers hung at crazy angles, and the whole starboard side bulged inwards. Now, what is starboard? Starboard is the right side. Is the right side of the ship. The timbers here were also broken, and from this broken side, the water was, sea waves were coming inside with strong force, and everything which was kept inside here, all things which were kept inside here, it was just splashing out. Okay, bashed open means open violently. So he was just thinking that in case, when he saw that starboards were broken, he thought that he has to do the repairs, and unless he does the repair, if he doesn't do the repair, it will be difficult for them to manage. So somehow he managed to stretch the canvas. He took the canvas and secure the waterproof hatch to cover the leakage. He covered the leakage so water could not seep inside. He wanted to prevent water from seeping inside the boat. So he was trying his best to do that. But while he covered that with the hatch and with the canvas, he saw more problems because the pumps were not working. Why? Because the things were floating. While the things were floating with the debris. Now what is this debris? Debris is the waste items which were just thrown out of the ship. So that was choked inside the pump, and the pumps were short-circuited. So it was not working, and the water level was very threateningly rising. It was rising. So back on the deck, he found that there were 2 more hand pumps, but it was wrenched overboard. Wrenched overboard means even that was taken away along with all the things which were splashed in the sea. So then he remembered that he had an electric pump under the chart room floor. So he took it out, connected it to an out pipe, and thanks God it was working. So now they could pump the water. So the night dragged on with an endless, bitterly cold routine of pumping, steering, and working the radio. Dragged on means if we drag something, means we just drag it into a lazy manner. So the whole night they were frantically pumping the water out, and it was a bitterly cold night, and they were trying to call on the radio. Now what is Mayday call? There was no reply. They're not getting any reply to the Mayday call. Now what is the Mayday call? Mayday call is used by ship. That is a radio telephonic call when they have an emergency out of stress. That is a stress signal. Mayday call. These days we call it SOS. So it was not working. But he was not surprised because they were in the far corner of the world, and it was such a remote area that the connectivity could not reach there. So there was no reply to the Mayday call. And when he went to the cabin of the children, what did he see? That Suzanne's head was swollen badly. Swollen because she had a deep cut on her arm. But she was very brave. And she simply said that don't worry, it is just a small injury. It doesn't matter. Why did she say so? Because she knew she was a very mature girl. Even though she was only 7 years old, Suzanne was very mature, and she knew that if I worry my father with my injury on the head, who will save the wave walker? Who will save the boat? There are 6 lives on the boat. So the life of 6 people are in the hand of my father. So I should let him be free. I should let him be worryless. So she told, it is just small bit, so please don't worry. And so in that period of distress, in the period of storm, both the children, that is Suzanne and Jonathan, both of them remain fearless, courageous and optimistic throughout the calamity. So the main calamity started on 2nd January, and they got the indication from morning itself, and from evening 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, things were in a frantic manner, and it was a real storm and it was like a near-death experience for all the 6 people. And all 6 of them, they contributed from their side. They contributed to save the boats, to save the life of each other, and they all were very mature because they all had like mind. So children, I think it's time to wind up today. Tomorrow will be the last portion, and that would be very interesting portion because once Gordon Cook managed to get control over the ship and to fight with the storm, they thought things were going to get cooler, but it will twist again. And tomorrow we'll see how they will manage and how they will save their life. And tomorrow will be the last part of this chapter, and we will see whether they would be able to save the ship, whether they will be able to complete the journey, and what will happen to the ship. So till then, have a nice time. See you again tomorrow. Thank you, children.